Thank you. You know, in spite of all that's going on in our country, in spite of all that we see around it, in spite of the difficulties that come our way every single day, there is a reason for joy. Do you believe that? Yeah. Joy. Oh, look at these young people clapping. He dropped a mic. Yeah. You just wait. It's coming. I happen to believe that people ought to be breaking down the doors to our churches to find out what the celebration is all about. We ought to have something in our lives that shows some joy. It's so tired of people who claim to be followers of Christ who walk around with a face that looks like they swallowed a profusely sweating toad. Have you ever run into these people? I've been a Christian for 27 years. And it's been great. I want to say, well, tell your face. You need to send missionaries to your face. Face has not yet heard the good news. God is the author of joy. A lot of us grew up believing that if it was fun, it was wrong. Right? Any of you ever come from that? My whole picture of God was that his job was to stand up in heaven somewhere and he would go, "Behold." No, I knew he stood like that. I'd seen them pictures. Ken Davis haveth fun. No. Give me a break. God is the author of joy. He's the one that created it. He's the one that made it. We got to hang on to it. You don't believe that God is the author of joy? Think back to this morning. Remember when you had children's Sundays, one of the toughest days of the week? How many of you parents have found yourself on Sunday with your hands around the throat of a child you love very much? And you're saying something like, "You get ready for church, get ready now so we can get there on time to learn about the love of Jesus." On the way to church, children become demon-possessed. I had two of the most beautiful girls on the way to church. They would fight like mortal enemies over nothing, over stupid stuff. This is my side of the car. This is my side over here. I am on my side of the car, and you are over here. You are breathing on my side. There are molecules coming from your side to my... You ever hear this? She's looking at me. How many teenagers? Any teenagers in here at all? Girls, do not say to your parents on the way, what is your name? Right there with the nice glasses on your head. Lisa, do not say to your parents, "She's looking at me." Your parents are not equipped to handle, "She's looking at me." No human with a brain can handle, "She's looking at me." Sarah, if you want to mess with your parents, say something like, "She hit me with a crowbar." We can handle that. Give me the crowbar. Don't hit her anymore. Was it just my car, or was your car like that? Any of you on the way to church ever grab the rearview mirror and give your children the Sunday morning look of love? That's worse than texting. What happened? He hit a semi doing 80. What was he doing? Giving his children the Sunday morning look of love. They're back there fighting. She's looking at me. I remember when my daughters did that. I didn't know what to do, but I thought, well, hey, I've written 2 books. And they've been bestsellers on family, and so I know what I'll do. I will put them to shame. I said, why don't you just poke her eyes out then? That is the wrong answer. I looked back there, one child had her hand on her face. Her eyes were already out. They were rolling on the floor. Then the other child is going, they're still looking at me. Sunday morning look of love. And then we say things that don't make sense. You want me to come back there? I'll tell you what your kids are thinking. Yeah, come on back. Come on, you're doing 75 miles an hour. Let's see what happens to the car. No, you can't go back because you are doing 75. Why? Because you're late. You're late every day. I don't know why you were late. I know why I was late. I had girls.
Almost got you.
I had girls. Now, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I'm going to tell you, it takes girls a month to get ready for Sunday. That means they miss 3 Sundays every month. I have fixed their hair. I had 2 teenage girls fix their hair, and it's not right. Take a shower, refix it, spray it. We spent a fortune on hairspray. A fortune. You go into my daughter's bathrooms, your feet would stick to the floor. Little bugs are in there going, help us, please. And you know what's interesting? They wouldn't move until every hair was perfect, but they lived like pigs. Their rooms were horrible, stinky, rotten messes. I went down there once, there were rats and roaches coming out with their suitcases going, we can't live like this anymore. Poke your eyes out didn't work. So I did what I know some of you have done this. You ever grab the rearview mirror and change it to an aiming device? I'll come back there, so help me. Lean forward a half an inch and you'll meet Jesus today. But God loved children. He did. He gave them the innate knowledge of that one spot in the car your arm can never reach. So you're going like that, and they're going strike 2. I told that story about swinging my arm at the kids. A little old man came all the way from the back of the auditorium. Took him about 5 minutes to get to the front. He could hardly walk, and his finger was out like this. Any preachers in here? Any pastors in here, including the pastors of this church? Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Have you ever seen anybody come at you, George, with their finger out like this where it turned out to be a nice conversation? No. He came up to me and he said, I'm going to tell you something. When you were talking about swinging your arm at the children, he said, God taught me about that a long time ago. I thought this boy's going to crawl up one side of me and down the other. I just braced myself. I said, what did God teach you? And that old man got a sparkle in his eye. He said, God showed me that a touch on the brakes brings them right into play. I get in trouble because a couple of things haven't changed in me. I can't keep my mouth shut. That gets me in trouble all the time. And I want to tell the truth. That gets me in trouble all the time. I can't stand stuff that doesn't make sense. That gets me all the time. And if you put all that together and you go to an airport, then you're in big trouble. I go nuts. I go nuts in airports. I was in an airport the other day. I watched them choose a lady that had to be 90, at least 90, in a wheelchair, confined to a wheelchair, chosen for secondary screening. Now, this drives me nuts, but I don't dare say anything. I don't want to go to jail again. I've been in so much trouble. They were going over me one time with that little beeper thing. Looks like the thing my mom used to spank me with, except it has music. And they're going over me with that, and it went off right here. It went off. It went beep, like that. The national security alert went off. And the man said, and not in a kind way, he said, "Pull up your sleeve. Be nice to me. You don't have to be mean to me. Pull up your sleeve." I pulled up my sleeve, and I am telling you the truth. This is absolutely true. He said, "What is that?" I said, "In Tennessee, we call that a watch." Now, I should have stopped there, but my lips were already moving. I said, "This one's got a lifetime guarantee. When it quits, a little razor blade comes out and slits your wrist." That's the wrong answer. I now know what a full body search is. There's no one in this room who wants to have a full body search. I remember when the thing first started, it bothered me right from the beginning. One day they said to me, "Put your luggage over there." And I put my luggage over there, and he said, "Now you go stand over there." And I went and stood over there, and he started going through my luggage. That got me tickled. I started laughing. I'd been gone for 47 days. That was bad luggage. There were underwear in there I was afraid of. And he's laying them on the table in front of 200 people. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "You want to see a security risk? There's a security risk." He dove into my luggage, came up with a pair of fingernail clippers. I never saw a man get so excited in my entire life. "What are these?" He said. "Tell me, what are these?" I said, "In Tennessee, we call those fingernail clippers." He said, "What are you planning to do with them?" He asked. I said, "I thought after the airplane took off, I might be able to work my way through the fuselage with them." That's the wrong answer. I saw the look on his face. I just found a little room and got naked by myself. I knew they would send somebody in there sooner or later. So here they are, going over this little lady. And by the way, I have something like 21 business cards. I love these people. I really do. I have 21 business cards from people who have sat in audiences like this, who work for TSA, and they always come up to me and go, "I hope you come past me tomorrow." They give me their card. They enjoy the show because they don't like doing the stupid stuff. Some of it's necessary, some of it's stupid. They do it. It's their job. But this lady is, this is crazy. She is in a wheelchair. She is incapacitated. They have to have two people hold up her arms so they can run the beeper thing over her. I'm telling you, this woman could wear a necklace of box cutters and not be dangerous. They got halfway done with her. Little lady's trembling. And she said what I've always wanted to say. She said, "I'm going to tell you something. If I miss my flight, I'm going to kill some people." She missed her flight. I got to tell the church story, Diane. We lived in Arvada, Colorado. We went to a little church. We were late most of the time because we had the two little girls. And Diane got upset. I mean, everybody does this one time or another. You get upset. But she got upset. I remember she came downstairs. I knew she was upset because her lips had disappeared. She's a beautiful woman, but her lips were gone. This vein in her neck was bigger than my right leg. And I could see it pumping blood up there, and the right eye was twitching. And she said, "Everybody in here, get in here!" Everybody came in. Like, you look at her, she's beautiful. You'd never think that this can happen, but it's Sunday, and Satan hates Sunday, and he wants to just destroy it. She said, "I'm sick and tired, sick and tired." 43 years we've been married. Never seen Diane just get sick. Always gets real tired along with it. She said, "Sick and tired. I'm sick of it when the kids treat church like a rock concert. They go to the bathroom in herds. They play little games with each other in the back seats. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it." She said, "From now on, when you get to church," she said, "you sit down and you will not move." She didn't spit like that, but she said it. She said, "Do you understand?" I said, "Yes." So she turned to the children. We got to church late, came in. The only seats available were the seats near the front. A row, about the third row back, was available. We slid into all of those seats and sat down, stood up immediately to sing a hymn. And the second we stood up, I realized I needed to move. I had to take care of something quickly, and then I could just come back. But she had just told me, "Do not move." Children are sitting there, and we're singing, "Our God is an awesome." And I realized I gotta go. I got to go. So while we're singing, I turned to her and I said, I need to go." Now tell me this doesn't happen with you. We're singing praise songs. "Our God." And she goes, "You will not move." Awesome. God, it's great. "You know the rule." I said, "Yes, I know from heaven. I know the rule, but I gotta go. Don't you understand? I have to go." Then we started singing songs like, "I got a river of life flowing." I had no choice. I just took off. I did not want to offend her or anyone else, so I quickly took care of business. I came back, slid into the pew just as we sat down. Now, I'm telling you, after several years of marriage, and you'll experience this, my dear friend, after several years of marriage, you don't have to talk. You communicate without words. And I could feel anger and hostility radiating from her body. And being a man of God, a man of peace, I put my arm around her and I hugged her in a sign of gentle reconciliation and forgiveness of her sinful behavior. And she took her elbow and began to poke and dig and grind into my ribs in a painful way, jabbing and poking into my ribs with her elbow. And I heard the voice of God speak to me and say, "Rebuke this woman." Heard it. So I turned to tell her to quit it. It wasn't my wife. She'll tell you this is true. I had slid into the wrong pew. She was sitting right behind me. And I'm pretty sure that's where the hostility was radiating from. Pastor lost it. He watched the whole thing. He just lost it. He wiping tears from his eyes going, "If God can love him, he can love anybody." And on the way out the door that day, a lady grabbed me, poked a bony finger into my face and said, "What do you think God thought of that thing you did?" Destroyed me. You think because I stand up here I've got thick skin? It destroyed me. I would never do anything to destroy a service. I preached in 3 services this morning. I would never try to do anything to interrupt what's going on there. It was an accident. What do you think God thought of that? So in the car on the way home, I was moaning and groaning to my beautiful wife, Diane. I said, on the way out of church, the lady poked her finger in my face and said, what do you think God thought of that? And it hurt my feelings. And let me tell you the kind of lady she is. She said, Ken, when are you going to start practicing what you preach? I said, what do you mean? She said, what do you think God thought of that? Think about it. The God who gave his life for us. The God who brought us joy. The God who understands stupid mistakes. Do you think he was up in heaven going, behold, that man huggeth the wrong woman. I am filled with rage. I have to be honest with you. I don't know exactly what God thought, but after 60-some years of living, I kind of think he was up there going, angels, come here, hurry, look at this idiot. I gave him a twisted mind. Man, he's using it. Don't go home saying, oh, that poor lady, he makes fun of her. I love her. I love her. She knows it. I told her before I came up here. I even gave her a kiss before I came up here. I saw several people around going, whoa, he's friendly. It's my wife, Diane. And I love her. And you're going to find out that marriage is just living through those little things together, those conflicts. It isn't easy. It isn't without difficulty. It's just kind of facing those things together. I woke up in the middle of the night to hear this. Tell me, men, that you've never heard this. I was sound asleep, and out of a sound sleep, I wake up to hear, listen! Listen! Ladies, don't do that. That scares us to death. You don't know that because it's dark, but our eyeballs are bugging out of our head. We're waiting for the gun to go off or the axe to crash down on our head. It's in the garage, she said. It's in the garage. What if he's escaped from somewhere? She's just freaking out. What if he has a chainsaw? She said, what if he has a chainsaw? Then she shoved me out of bed and said, go see. You need to think this through. How effective can I be trying to chase a guy with a chainsaw out of my garage when I'm wearing a pair of tighty-whities? How can I do that? Hey, hey! Hey, you with a chainsaw! Get out of here! Snap. God is teaching me to be a better husband, teaching me to be more attentive. But men and women are different. We got to admit it. We're different. Again, I can only speak from a man's perspective, but I beg you, please, if you have something to say, we communicate different. And I'm just trying to help you, all of you. If you have something to say to us, say it! Don't put it in the form of a question that has no answer. We're in a beautiful hotel. they brought up a fruit basket half the size of this chair right here. I'd never seen anything like it. Beautiful suite of rooms. I wanted Diane to see the fruit basket. I picked it up. I started toward the bedroom where she was getting ready. My foot caught on the edge of the carpet and I stumbled and I spilled hundreds of pieces of fruit all over the floor. I looked up and she was standing in the doorway with one hand on her hip. And she said, "Why did you do that?" There is no answer to that question. I grab a golf bag, I'm walking out the door, and she says, "Are you gonna leave here looking like that?" There is no answer to that question. If I say no, I don't get to go golfing. If I say yes, I don't get to go anywhere ever again. Just say to me, "Oh, you're clumsy." I can handle that. I can handle that. Doesn't cause confusion or anxiety in my heart. Just say to me, "You cannot walk out the door wearing those two colors." I can handle that. But don't ask me a question that has no answer. Do you ever see those little tiny old men who are all bent over and wrinkled up and they walk like this and they just can hardly move? Those are men who have tried to answer that question. Came in, I heard her screech into the driveway one time. I looked out the window. She jumps out of the car. She has a bag. It has the fanciest writing I've ever seen on it. Huge plastic bag with a real nice handle. And she comes running into the house, and I'm trying to read what's on the bag. Cannot read it. It's too fancy. I know what it means. You have no more money. She comes into the house. And she is so excited. She said, go sit on the chair. Sit there and do not move, do not move. And so I sat on the chair and I could hear her in there, rustling in there and getting all ready. And she put on this new dress. She came out. And then she came out and she stood and she said, Ken. What do you think? If this ever happens to you, dude, run! I was sitting watching TV. Diane came in. She said, "Let's go shopping. I want to go shopping." I hate shopping. I'm sorry, I hate shopping. I have a basic foundational belief, a philosophy. Men aren't supposed to shop. Oh, see, it got quiet. I know, this is California. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Chauvinistic, and you're wrong. And you're right. Some men like to shop. In fact, you give a man a credit card to Bass Pro or something like that, you'll never see him again. Here's what's different, the philosophy of shopping. I don't know if this is true in your family. Here's what it is in my family. This is my philosophy of shopping. It's quite simple. Find it, buy it. This is Diane's philosophy of shopping. Find it, compare it to everything else in the entire world that looks something like it, then drive 200 miles for a 50-cent sale, and then decide we don't need that. Drives me nuts. So I said to her, "No, I'm watching TV, gonna stay here. I'm gonna guard the house." She said, "Okay, then I'll just go." She's such a sweet lady. She goes out to the garage, and God spoke to me. I heard him, just like a voice. "Ken, you're a bad man. This is a beautiful woman who wants simply for you to go shopping. Go shopping, go." Now I'm a little rebellious. I said, you don't shop. He didn't get mad. He said, I'm not married. I said, okay, I'll go. We went to the Mall of America, one of the largest malls in the United States of America. Look at me. Satan built the Mall of America. Proof that men should not shop can be found in the Mall of America. Hundreds of miles of hallways with benches in them. There are no women on those benches, only men on those benches. I saw one old guy bent over like he was a skeleton. Cobwebs hanging from him. And somewhere in there was a lady who was shopping, the part that we don't like, standing at that dress rack for hours going, Meanwhile, there's a guy in the hallway decomposing. I sat down next to a skeleton, and I heard God whisper, Ken, shop. Go with your wife. So I began wandering through the Mall of America, going from store to store, listening for couldn't find her. But I wandered into a shop, a Warner Brothers shop. And before I could leave, I glanced up on the wall, and there I saw something that captured my eye. It was a jacket. It was a Warner Brothers jacket. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my life. On the back of the jacket was a huge target like you see on Looney Tunes, and it had Porky Pig, and it had Bugs Bunny, and it had it was so colorful, and it had suede sleeves, and it had and the jacket had a little word on the pocket. It said, Looney, this jacket was made for me. And I ran and I found my wife and I said, oh, come with me. God has done a miracle. I have learned to shop. I said, come. And I said, see that jacket? I want that jacket. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I have to tell you another story. I have grandchildren. And my grandchildren have controlled me from the day they were born. They have me wrapped around their little finger. They can play me like a violin. They would come to me. Little Kylie, my first grandchild, would come to me and go, oh, Grandpa, I have a question for you. Well, what is your question? I would like to have one because of all of the things, I would like to have one of those cookies. I said, I'm sorry, you cannot have cookies. I'd like to have the candy. Could I have candy? No, I'm sorry you can't have candy. See, when you eat candy, the sugar hits your bloodstream. You go around the room like a balloon with the air going out of it. Sorry. Grandpa, could I please just have all I am asking for is to have one tiny little piece of candy? So you break my heart, but I cannot give you candy. Look at me, sweet baby. If Grandpa gives baby candy, then Mama will kill Grandpa. gave her the candy. But then she reached a stage. One day she came to me, and they're taking shortcuts now. They grow up, they're taking shortcuts. No longer all of this emotion. She just goes, Grandpa, Grandpa. Okay, let's get to it. I love you, I love candy. Get it? I said, no, I'm not going to do, you can't treat me like that. No, I am not getting you the candy. And that child went down like a trout out of water. I want that candy, you give me that candy. I said, here, take the candy. Shh. There's a baby Ruth. It's good for you. Ruth was in the Bible, eat it. It worked as kids. I said to my wife, that jacket, I want that jacket. She said, she went over and looked at the price tag. Men, do we care about the price tag? No. I want the jacket. Find it, buy it. She said, we could buy a house for what that cost. And I about walked out of there, and then it hit me. I remembered my granddaughter. This is a true story. We're in the Warner Brothers store, and I said to her, honey, I would like to, because of it, I would like to have, just to have the jacket. And she said to me, what is wrong with you? She didn't know what I was doing. So I went to phase 2. All I want in the whole world. People in the store are edging toward the door like this. Diane looked at me and said, don't do this. You are embarrassing me. So I turned to her and I went, I want that jacket! She said, that's it. And she stomped out of the store. And I followed her all the way out going, I want that jacket, I want that jacket, you give me that jacket. We got into the intersection of the two biggest halls in the Mall of America. This is a true story. And she turned on me like a she-bear with cubs. Stop this now! And I just, you give me that. I paid a high price for this jacket. God did a special miracle that day. It was amazing what he did as a result of that day. As we drove home, I was wearing a jacket. And Diane didn't say nothing. No, that wasn't a miracle. She did not say a word. We pulled into the garage and the little tennis ball hit the windshield. And she turned to me slowly. And she said words I thought I would never hear. I'm never taking you shopping again. I love your laughter. Some of you are a little unsure. I see some of you going, yes, but where's the part, the spiritual part? Folks, let me tell you something. All good things come from God. And there's nothing more that God wants to bring to your life than joy that goes beyond the punchline. But it doesn't mean that he hates punchlines. I really believe that there's a desperate need, especially in these times, for people to look at those who claim to be followers of Christ and see security and joy in the midst of difficult times. Laughter and happiness. A dog is a man's best friend. There's a reason for that. The reason is that they're filled with joy. They're filled with love. You can be gone for 2 days, 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 months. You come back and the dog is right there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come and see what I've done. Who has a dog? What do you have here in the kind of an orange shirt? What do you have? Yellow lab. Who else has a dog? What do you have, ma'am, in the blue? Shih Tzu? It's not a dog. I'm not sure I know what a Shih Tzu is, but it is not a dog. What, ma'am? A snoodle? Oh, that makes up for it. Do not put a sign in your yard that says, this home protected by a Shih Tzu and a schnoodle. I will rob you blind. I don't know what these dogs are, but I bet you I can describe them. A leaf falls somewhere in the state of California. They go, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." And then they run and hide. Did you know that a schnitzel and a... What was it? Well, I don't even want to say it. Sorry. Did you know that one of those and the spoodle that... Did you know that they can kill a lab? What is it, a yellow lab? Yeah, yellow lab. Get caught in their throat. That's why you see a lot of yellow labs walking around going, Shih Tzu. I got him at Taco Bell with a side of schnoozle. But you love your dog because your dog is filled with joy. Joy, it does not equal laughter. I want to make that very clear. But I am telling you that when a person has their feet firmly planted on a foundation that they know that God has forgiven them and that He has accepted them and that they are going to live forever and they have the freedom to live fully alive, then joy, laughter is a byproduct of that. And if people look at us and hear us talking about how much joy we have in Christ and it doesn't show in our everyday life, then I'm not sure they want what we have. All my life I've struggled with the whole concept of what gives me value, what gives me hope. Can't play football, not an athlete. I take part in these athletic events now, but basically it's just to be as the best I can be, not to beat anybody else. In high school, I was beat up on a regular basis. I had a man tell me I would never amount to anything because I couldn't catch a football. One day I came to the realization that God didn't make me like Samuel. He didn't make me like you. He made me special to accomplish what He wants me to accomplish. And He loved me enough to give His Son for me. That has changed my life. I went back to the school where I was beat up on a regular basis 10 years after I graduated. And I mean, I was beat up. I was class clown. In the book it says class clown. But I never dated in high school. I was little. I was skinny. And our family went to church. That made me a target. I didn't play any sports. 25 kids in my graduating class. I hated going every day for fear of what would happen. 10 years later, I went back. I didn't weigh 125 pounds anymore. I weighed 175 pounds. I had lifted weight for 6 years because we were going back to the class reunion. There were some boys I wanted to meet one more time. It was an amazing experience for me. It was a wonderful, transforming experience. I was also asked to speak at another graduation, and almost all of my fellow classmates were invited to it too. A little gymnasium in northern Minnesota, and a stage built a little higher than this with plywood and crepe paper hanging from the back. My senior year in high school, an English teacher had told me that God had given me a gift. It changed my life. She told me she wanted me to go out for speech. It changed my life. I had treated her so badly, and she dug through all of that junk and found a nugget of gold because she understood that God doesn't make mistakes when He makes people. And so she told me to go out for speech. I stood on that platform and I began to deliver my talk to this little graduating class. Many of my fellow students are there. And I looked up, and standing at the door on the right-hand side was the man who years before had pointed his finger at me and said, "You'll never amount to anything." He was there. I looked back and I saw Frances Peterson, my dear friend, who lived here in California for a while just before she died. The lady who had encouraged me. And I delivered this powerful, emotional address, and then I finished. I said, "Thank you," and the place erupted in a standing ovation. Boys clapping who had beat me senseless. I dared to look, and the man who had said those words, which I'm sure he did not mean to hurt, he was trying to make a man out of me, he was applauding wildly. And then I looked over and saw my English teacher, Frances Peterson, with her hands folded beneath her chin and tears streaming down her face, and I got this huge lump in my throat. The last thing I want to do is now cry. Went and sat on the chair at the back of the stage, and I sat there, and they just continued to applaud. And this thought went through my mind. This is how quick it happens, Samuel. This quick. As I looked out at them applauding, I thought, I'm better than everyone here. You tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor. The second that thought hit my brain, the back legs to the chair slipped off the stage. I fell 6 feet to the ground. Some people saw me fall. They're going, "That boy's dead." Others had turned to a friend or blinked, and they're going, "Where'd that boy go?" Because they didn't know. And as I lay on the floor behind the stage, the deceiver himself came with his long, bony finger and pointed it at me and said, "See, you ruin everything you touch. You will never amount to anything." But I had already learned that he's a liar. I broke his finger. Why should I feel that? Why should I believe that? I mean, did God love me any less laying behind the stage than He did when I was standing up front taking ovation? Did my family love me any less? Now, they didn't want to be there, but did they love me any less? I peeked up from behind the stage. Everyone's frozen in mid-applause. I'm here to testify tonight that there is no ceremonious, cool way to climb back up on a 6.5-foot stage. I threw my leg up on the stage and rolled over and stood up, and they gave me another standing ovation. And I went to the microphone and I told them just briefly what I'll tell you tonight. I've been so grateful to have so many opportunities all over the world. What a wonderful thing it is to come to a place and see this many people who are out tonight. But that isn't what gives me value. What gives me value is God knows everything that I have done. He knows my meanest, nastiest thoughts. He knows how angry I can get. He knows everything. And He loved me anyway. And that's my reason for joy. And it's the only reason I came tonight. You can't pay me enough to drive I-5 again. But if I get a chance to tell my story, and if one person benefits from it, I'll drive it again, if God gives me a chance. God bless you. Good night.